Hello, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to my channel. If you're new, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you subscribe. For my fans and subscribers, welcome back, and thank you for the patronage. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Connecticut witch trials, epidemic, and disease. Let's go! While you're thinking about it, why don't you go ahead, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss any content. So, a lot of you may not know about the Connecticut witch panic. Actually, I didn't know either until I started looking into it. But you may know that a common thread in witch panics was epidemic and disease. We're talking the European witch panic, the Connecticut witch panic, and the Salem witch panic. Today, of course, we have rational explanations for disease, which is germ theory. But back in the day, they didn't have this. They thought it was supernatural. They thought it was either Satan or they thought it was God punishing them for something. According to Puritan beliefs, epidemics had a role in God's plan. For some reason, they viewed disease among the Native Americans as indicative of God's approval to settle the land, even though earlier colonies had failed due to hunger and sickness. Sounds like confirmation bias to me. When the summer of 1633 rolled around, a new disease, likely smallpox, came. However, few colonists died, but the natives weren't so lucky. The Puritans saw this as divine favor because they interpreted this as God making room for them. This was disastrous to the natives, of course, because they had not built up an immunity to European diseases, but it made settlement for the English much easier in the 1630s. If they saw this as divine approval, though, how did they explain the continual confrontations on the frontier borders? Over time, the native population became less prone to European diseases. Again, because they had built up immunity. Now, the same diseases affected the colonists as much. Yeah, so I want you to explain that one. How did the colonists rectify this paradox? There is a verse in the Bible that says God makes his rain fall on the just and the unjust, meaning basically that bad things happen to everybody, no matter whether they're good or bad. This hasn't changed. Christians love having their cake and eating it too. If something good happens, it's God's blessings, and if something bad happens, it's time. Also, seeing disease among their own was seen to have a supernatural cause. After all, if God was judging the natives through disease and death, would not the same apply to them? Also, Satan might be getting them back because they had killed his servants, the natives. From 1640 to 1646, the annual deaths in Windsor were pretty low, from 2 to 6. By 1647, that number had increased to 27. An epidemic had caused this sharp rise in deaths. The sickness began in Massachusetts in June 1647, but it has already taken hold in Connecticut. We know this because Alice Youngs was hanged on May 26, 1647. And by the way, the epidemic was probably the flu. As stated earlier, these colonists had imported their witchcraft beliefs from England. These beliefs, combined with the hard frontier life, the fears, and the imagination, into a perfect storm. And make no mistake, the preachers were at the center, leaving them terrified and feeling helpless. Because most of the Windsor colonists had come from England just a few years prior, they brought their community norms with them. For example, in 1612 in Somerset, the colonists brought before the court Elizabeth Busher, accusing her of leading an immoral life and being a witch. With these accusations, the court issued a warrant for good behavior. Interestingly, the court showed tolerance for her actions, especially in her first appearance before them, when they expect her to rejoin the community with an apology and relied on her own self restraint. This was actually her second court appearance. She seems to have been a quote unquote extreme troublemaker, but in the end, the courts deemed her to be mentally ill, which may be why they showed leniency. In fact, it seems that the town was tolerant, trying to control behavior through private means. As long as people showed neighborly comportment, it seems that they were not likely to be taken to court. At this time, as previously stated, the community would only take people to court for violating norms as a last resort. The colonists would first try to pressure people to conform, and this could go on for a very long time. Bad behavior included such things as not participating in community affairs or not going to church. Brazen witchcraft, of course, would not be tolerated, but accusations were made for those deviating from the norms through gossip, particularly if unusual events happened around the subject of this gossip. They were formally accused and prosecuted. This only happened if social relationships were affected. This was the first step in trying to control the person. New England courts weren't as inclined as English courts to be lenient on those accused of witchcraft, mainly due to the fact that the English required more rigorous evidence for conviction. However, we can say that we have no proof of black witches, those who used witchcraft for malevolent purposes, in New England. In England, these cunning or wise men and women were tolerated by the authorities and worked within the norms of society. They also provided and used counter magic to neutralize evil witches. Of course, the clergy disapproved of counter magic, but there wasn't much they could do in England. However, in New England, things were different. Even healing by non medical persons or counter magic could land somebody in hot water, especially with the clergy, because they had more power in the colonies. In the early days, New England did not hold trials. The settlers still had contacts in England, and anyone who had a bad reputation was discouraged from crossing the Atlantic. If a person was accused of a serious crime in the colonies, they were sent back to England to stand trial. Also, most early settlers, including servants, were vetted. Later, we see a broader array of settlers, and some settlers practiced quote unquote folk magic, which was actually normal in England. Well, friends, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, press the subscribe button. If you think this is worth sharing, share it on social media. And if you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. All social media links are in the description. If you would like to become a channel member to help me grow and to become better, please do that. Join link in the description as well. Keep learning and searching for truth. This is not just something I tell you. This is my mantra. I keep learning stuff every day, and I also keep searching for the truth. Anyway, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye.